Chris. Good evening. It is Wednesday, May 8th, 2024, and welcome to the Town of Carmel Town Board meeting. Tonight is a work session where we have 10 items. If everyone would please rise and face the flag. Councilman Kearns will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Let's take a moment of silence for the men and women overseas defending our freedoms. Thank you.
Thank you. So I call this meeting to order, and I ask the board to please review the town board minutes from April 17th and May 1st that Alice Daly has provided for you. So before we first item, which is Nina Kallmeyer, our Director of Recreation, I just want to ask that we do a resolution next meeting to set a public hearing. Councilman Lombardi had given me some paperwork from the state on moratoriums, and we reached out to other communities that have done moratoriums. So we'd like to do a public hearing, and we'll discuss a moratorium on the large-scale battery farms, and we'll see if And we'll see if their legal opinions are right, and if, of course, anyone can sue us, but let's see if we can sustain it. So next meeting, if it's all right with the rest of the board, we're going to do a resolution to set a public hearing. People can speak at a public hearing, as you've been told numerous times, and then we'll go forward. So that's one thing I'll ask the board, that next week we do a resolution for that.
And if I can, just credit a resident who I was talking to about that, who actually did a little research along with what I was doing, and we both found these articles, and I presented it to the supervisor. We reviewed it. We spoke to a couple of other attorneys who do like land use and things like that. From
Town
other,
supervisors
yeah,
from other
from
towns.
outside of here, and we feel we can.
So we'll see.
So we're going to try.
All right, so our first item is our Director of Recreation, Nina Kallmeyer. Consider request to accept donation of park bench for Airport Park offered by the Mahopac Sports Association. Nina.
Good evening, Board. So tonight I am here for MSA Sports Association. They are requesting permission for MSA Soccer to donate a park bench to the Airport Park in memory of Chris Provenzano, a longstanding member of the MSA Soccer Board, who passed unexpectedly. They are proposing an 8-foot blue bench, which will have "in loving memory of Christopher Provenzano" printed on it, which I have attached to this memo. This requires town board approval, and I am requesting that the board look into this and approve it for Chris.
I love it. Thank you, Nina. And also, I know like at the meeting, we talked about with this bench possibly doing a little bit of write-up about
Yes.
Chris. So
Yep.
people that don't know him can read about what he's done and
Yeah.
who he is.
And to
or
keep his
was.
memory alive.
Yeah,
I know
to
that
keep it
we
alive,
we
so.
definitely did talk about, I know on some newer benches or memorial services, they do like a QR code that goes to more of a bio for the person who has passed. And once, if this is approved and once we, get it into the park, we will do a nice ceremony with the family down at the Airport Park with MSA and the community.
Perfect.
We could do one of those
Thanks, Nina.
plaques like we did for the 9/11
Yeah.
Planters.
planter.
Yeah.
It's
we'll
nice,
look into
you know?
something nice
Yeah.
for him. Absolutely.
But the QR code, that's young
Yeah.
people like you. So next up is,
Fun. I have a question when we're on
Sure.
Airport Park. Do we have any update on the project, ongoing project over there with the playground?
The
I
playground?
didn't give it to them yet.
So I actually brought it to the supervisor's office, and Rich, if you want, if town engineer would like to talk on it too. We are moving forward, so I'll let him
Awesome.
kind of speak on that really quickly.
So contracts have been signed, submittals have been given, they've been approved, they submitted the schedule. In order to do this, you have to have the right temperature for the surface, the play surface to be installed correctly. So that'll probably happen toward the end of May. I don't remember the schedule off the top of my head, I do apologize.
I brought it up.
Okay. Yeah. Do you-
I kind of remember it, but
Okay, go ahead.
if you want to speak on it, Supervisor Cazzari, you can.
When are we going to start? What's the proposed
It
start
should be
date and
starting,
finish?
they're going to start putting up the fence within the next week or so. And I believe that the end date on it is June or July.
Oh, wow,
July.
perfect.
Yeah.
July.
So we're looking, very
That's
soon,
great.
within the next 2 or 3 months.
They're saying
we
the
should
grass will
okay.
be back July 17th, yeah. So they'll be marking it out, supposed to be ready now, the 8th.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's barring any kind of, obviously,
Of course.
inclement weather, because,
Yeah.
we've had nothing but great weather these days, so, that's what's going on. So that's what the schedule is.
Next week, they're pouring the,
Right, you have to have the
The
right
pour in
air
place.
temperature,
Yeah.
right ground temperature, and everything else for that play surface. So you can't do it in January.
Yeah.
You have to do it at this time of year. So
Yeah.
it's
Great.
moving forward.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
I was going to give it to you later on, sorry. So the next thing is the, consider appointment of Donna Profit to the Recreation Advisory Committee.
Yep. So Donna Proft is interested in serving the town of Carmel by being appointed to the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee as a senior citizen representative. Donna is an active member of the senior community and is enthusiastic about contributing ideas that will make a positive impact on the recreational experiences of this community. Donna has attended many meetings for the Recreation Advisory Committee, and we did have Nick Michuron on the committee as the senior citizen representative, and his term was up, so we asked him, and Donna is going to take his place right now. He is still going to be involved and still wants to be involved in, the committee and the group in general. So we're excited to, hopefully have a new member on the board, and she seems like she'll be a great asset.
Yeah. Great.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And next up is the appointment of Zachary Frank for Senior Rec Leader.
Yep, so as you all know, there is an open position in the Recreation Department, and we have been working hard to fill that position. So we had 2 candidates that were interviewed for the subject position based off of the Civil Service Senior Recreation Leader test that was offered last October. I am recommending hiring Zachary Frank provisionally as a full-time Senior Recreation Leader, CSEA Group 8, Step 1. Zach is currently working in Rye, doing pretty much the same exact thing as what I was doing here for the town of Carmel. He is well-versed on Community Pass, which we utilize for our recreation software. He runs their summer concert series. He works with their youth leagues. And I just think that he will be a great addition to our department, and I am recommending that we hire him for this position.
Perfect.
Thank you, Nina. Thank
welcome.
you, Zach, for coming. Our 4th item is our Highway Superintendent, Michael Stern. Consider request to purchase a 2016 Ford Transit van.
Good evening, Board.
Evening.
Per our discussions, I have done some research and I'm requesting the authorization to purchase a 2016 Ford Transit van for $19,995. We've looked into a bunch of different trucks that are very, similar in mileage and year, and this, we're recommending the purchasing from Upstate Auto Sales. We are replacing our sign truck, and it's a 1999.
Okay.
So it's 25 years old, and it's been with the town now for 11 of those years, and it's just gotten to the point where it's not worth putting the money back into it. So that is what we are requesting, and we have the money in our capital equipment line.
Mike, are you going to get it, I don't want to say detailed, but like written on the outside, or just put like the...
We're going to have the town logo, and we'll put
Logo?
sign crew on it
Okay.
also.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
And warning lights?
What's that?
Warning lights.
We're going to have plenty of lights on it. People will know. And it's fully equipped with all the racks and stuff inside already too, so we don't really have to upfit it.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
All right? Thank you.
So all the rest of the items are with our town engineer, Richard J. Franzetti, P.E. Consider request to return the bond for Day Road LLC. Rich?
Good evening, board members. Yes, as Supervisor said, this is the planning board passed a motion recommended the bond return for Day Road of $73,000. Both Mike Carnazza and myself have inspected the property, and all the features as approved by the planning board have been installed as approved, and therefore we recommend that this be done. The planning board has voted on it, and it's up to you guys to move it forward. Thank you.
And next up, you have emergency repairs.
So this memorandum is presented to the board. Emergency invoices submitted for payment and authorization to proceed in excess of $10,000 of services rendered. Carmel Sewer District 7 valve install. On April 4th, Inframark, the operators of Sewer 7 notified the engineering department that a bypass valve at the mixing box was in a seized position, closed. It should not be closed under normal conditions. Inframark used a valve exercising machine on full torque and was still unable to open the valve. This valve is needed in order to bypass flow past the mixing box instead of through. There's an invoice for Cuck Excavating for $12,686.35 to make the repair. There are sufficient funds in the operating budget for this expense.
No questions? All right, next up is the PFOA pilot study, the trailer.
So as the board is aware, we're undergoing pilot studies at two different locations in the town. One is at Carmel Water District 3, the other is at Carmel Water District 8. This is to assess the various treatment methodologies that can be used to capture and treat PFOAs in drinking water. So B&J, the operators for Carmel Water District 8, advised the engineering department of costs associated with the pilot trailer installed as part of this pilot study. There's an invoice for the installation of the trailer unit at the filter plant for the pilot study in the amount of $17,384.85. As the board should know, this cost is being evenly split between all districts, so about $1,240 per. The idea of the pilot study, just to remind the board and let you folks know, is to identify, again, those treatment methodologies and to assess which one is going to work best and give us the most bang for the buck with regards to capturing and treating PFOAs. And all the water districts will benefit from it because we're either going to institute it out to every water district and they'll each get their own treatment system, or there might be some semblance of consolidation. That's still in the works. Nothing is written in stone just yet, but all that needs to be looked at. That's all part of what's going on. So there is until a capital plan is established, all expenses will be tracked and charged through a separate line operating budget. Future budget transfer requests to cover these costs, some of which have been provided through the unreserved and reserved funds within each of the water districts based on the needs of those individual districts will be required.
Right, so every water district except for the district up in Carmel, Carmel Water District 2, has met or exceeded the limit that the government, the EPA, and the DEC says is safe for these forever chemicals in the water. So we're mandated, and that's why we're spending another, it was 189 for the
pilot studies.
212 for the pilot, 189 for the original study. It's just a never-ending stream of money to try to get clean water, and we're going to keep applying for grants and trying to get
That's all
something
we can do.
recouped.
Right. And
But-
just to follow up on the supervisor's thought process, originally the US EPA had the detection limit set to 70, but they lowered it to 4 recently. So the pilot study is being set up to bring it to that level of 4, if not non-detect, which would be less than 4.
Parts
So-
per trillion.
Yes, parts per
Parts
trillion,
per
micrograms
trillion.
per liter, yes. So
That's-
it's
That's a
Fun
very,
stuff.
very small number.
I have to say, I did go up and they explained the whole thing to me. I walked through the trailer and all. Very impressive what they did.
Right.
It took a little while to do, but they really did a nice job up there.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to go, we can get you up there, we can get you to either one. So again, just so the board again is aware and the public is aware, one study is for our surface water, which is the one at Carmel Water District 8. The other one is capturing a groundwater system. Both are doing the same exact thing, but they're capturing and treating different source waters. They all have different characteristics. They all operate and do things differently, especially summertime. Surface waters change. They go through turnovers where groundwaters stay pretty much constant, but they have the higher mineral contents. As anybody here who has a well knows, you have hard water, you have to get a softener, you have to do all this. So that is why we're doing the two different pilot studies for this. This was explained a while back, just reminding the board why we're doing these things. So,
Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
And so next up, you have the extending the cemetery maintenance service contract with Kearns.
So, as the board may recall, in 2021, the engineering department solicited proposals for the maintenance of cemeteries. Proposal R 2021-004, and identified that the contract would be effective for 3 years till the end of this year, and the town of Carmel having a unilateral option to renew the contract for up to 2 more years and any portion thereof, so we go to 26. Kiko's Landscape was the lowest responsible proposer at that time. They have sufficiently performed this work since 2014, and we recommend that the town of Carmel exercise its option to extend this for 25 and 26. The cost would be $15,675 for both years, each year individually. So $15,675 for 2025 and $15,675 for 2026. They will be included in next year's budget. So part of the reason why this is coming here so early is to make sure that we're ahead of our budget for the upcoming budget. And I'm sorry I'm not able to tell you, but I don't remember how many cemeteries there are, but it's something like 20-something that we do. It might be less, I forget, but there's a bunch of cemeteries that we have to maintain. So all the historical cemeteries are what we're talking about here.
Okay, and then Lake Secor Park maintenance?
Similarly, in 2021, the engineering department solicited proposals for maintenance of the Lake Secor Park District, R 2021-002, and identified a contract effective for 3 years, 2022 through 2024 inclusive, with the town of Carmel having a unilateral option for 2 more years, 2025 and 2026. Excuse me. Bella Vista Landscaping was the lowest responsible proposer. They have performed to the satisfaction of both the Lake Secor Advisory Board and the Engineering Department. Therefore, we recommend we exercise that extension for 2025 and 2026. The cost would be $4,450 for 2025, $4,550 for 2026, and they will be included in the subsequent budgets as we move forward.
And lastly, Tea Kettle.
Last but not least, similar idea. In 2021, we solicited proposals for maintenance at Tea Kettle Park District, R 2021-003. Again, 3 years, 2022 to 2024 inclusive. Us, meaning the town, having unilateral option to renew the contract for 2025 and 26. Kiko's Landscaping was the lowest responsible proposer. They performed to the satisfaction of both the Tea Kettle Lake Advisory Board and the Engineering Department. We recommend that the option be extended in 2025 and 2026. Cost would be, for each year, $7,500, so $15,000 total for the 2 years. Again, they will be included in the upcoming budgets as we move forward.
Great, thank you,
I
Rich.
think that's all I have for a change.
Oh, that was enough.
Good night.
Thanks, Rich.
So, public comment. 5 minutes, residents and, yeah, go ahead. And business owners, please just state your name and where you live. And address the board, not the audience. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Tony Powell, Carmel, New York. We're in Hoffer Drive. Just want to read a little something to you guys. I have a copy for you. You can make a record of it. Thermal runaway. To date, there have been over 30 recorded serious thermal runaways in battery energy storage systems, BESS, worldwide. Thermal runaway is a phenomenon in which the lithium-ion cells enter an uncontrollable self-heating state. This can happen when a single faulty cell overheats and passes the reaction to neighboring cells. This results in uncontrollable fires that cannot be put out. Water is used to cool the neighboring cells in the hope that they too do not catch on fire. The fire releases toxic gases such as hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen methane, ethylene, and carbon monoxide. The release of these gases in turn may cause further explosions or fires upon ignition. The chemical energy then released can be up to 20 times greater than the energy stored. In 2020, a 20-megawatt BESS in Liverpool, England, took over 11 hours to contain and resulted in an explosion and a release of toxic gases. The BESS proposed for Mahopac would be 116 megawatts, considerably larger than the Liverpool plant. In the Liverpool explosion, parts of the containment system were blown 75 feet. Once water was applied to the Liverpool BESS, the resulting runoff contained hydrofluoric acid, a highly toxic substance which can dissolve concrete whose fumes can be fatal. Let me reiterate that for a second. Can dissolve concrete and whose fumes can be fatal. The incident released a plume of toxic gas spread by wind. Efforts to douse the thermal runaway were hampered by the lack of available water from the hydrants. In the case of the area proposed for East Point Energy BESS plant, there is only one hydrant on Route 118 in town of Somers. So when you have that runaway water, the hydrofluoric acid going into the water, going downstream to the Amawak Reservoir, and it can dissolve concrete, think about the people behind that. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes.
sharing.
Here's a copy for...
Yeah. What we'll do also is submit that to the planning board for their file as well.
Okay.
Okay? You have your name's on it, right?
No, my name's not
your
on it.
name?
You need
Oh,
mine? Tony
yeah.
Poello, Poallo.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
How are you? Eddie Parchin, Baldwin Place Road. Good evening, members of the town board. About 237 years ago, a group of men sat in a room probably no bigger than this and drafted a document that would define our country. They started this document with 3 powerful words: we the people. It seems in the past few years, our government has forgotten how powerful those words are. We the people, not we the elected officials. We the people of Mahopac, Somers, Carmel, Yorktown, and as far down as New York City, stand here before you, the elected officials, to do what is right for we the people. You are elected to be our voice and do what is right for us, not what you think is right for yourself. This is an oath you took to represent we the people. So let me get this straight. We the people elect the members of the town board to stand up and represent us. The town board then appoints people to a planning board. They are not elected by we the people. So how is it that they are the be-all, end-all of decision-making? We did not choose them to represent us. We the people are worried about our family safety, our homes, and the future of our children. This proposed battery storage facility would put all of these things into danger. Ask yourself why a company 392 miles away is worried about our power grid. Why wouldn't they worry about their own? Why won't they put this in their own backyards? The power company has come in with their used cars salesman pitch, which we listened to in good faith last week. And they told us all the benefits of this battery storage facility, how it will help ease blackouts. Are we really worried about blackouts? Most of us have generators, and if God forbid the power did go out for a couple of days, what's the worst that will happen? Families will have to sit around and talk to each other and maybe learn something about each other. That's an American value that we are missing. We will survive blackouts. We cannot survive a catastrophic fire caused by one of these lithium storage facilities, and it will happen. If you follow New York City FireWire, I'd say 70% of the fires they report nowadays are due to lithium-ion batteries and thermal runways. Most are tiny cells from e-scooters. Imagine when one of these containers holding a lot more cells than an e-scooter catches fire. When this does happen, what are we supposed to do? Trust a government who on a national, state, and local level has failed us and lied to us? They will tell us the air is safe to breathe and that our water is okay to drink. The people over where I live near Lake Baldwin already get water bills for water that we can't drink because chemicals found in the supply? What will happen when it is further contaminated? How did the live, clean air work out on 9/11? Here we are 23 years later, still burying people due to 9/11 related illnesses. Do we want to be a town that has to worry about going for scans every 6 months, hoping that we don't get sick? I can tell you how this has affected my family. I watched my cousin lose her brother on 9/11. Then, in 2014, bury her mother. In 2016, bury her father, both due to 9/11 related cancers. Then, in 2020, she buried her brother, another firefighter, due to 9/11 related pancreatic cancer. He was 46 years old and left behind 5 children. This was all because they were told the air was safe. So before you go to bed tonight, I ask you to close your eyes. Picture 10, 15 years from now, your children and grandchildren with you sitting on the couch. One of them has a cough that doctors can't figure out. And a commercial comes on and says, if you or anyone you have known has lived in Mahopac, Carmel, or Somers, you may be entitled due to a cash settlement due to the exposure to toxins from the lithium-ion battery fire. Their next question will be, Grandma, Grandpa, weren't you part of the government who allowed this? What would your answer be? Do you want to live with that on your conscience? We the people know that we are in a fight for our lives right now against the political machine. To take a quote from the movie Rocky, let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. It will beat you to your knees and will keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is going to hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you get hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. Well, guess what? We the people are ready to fight. Get knocked down and back up till the end. We will not stay down. We will keep moving forward. We know what our families and ourselves are worth. Therefore, I ask you on behalf of we the people to do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Do you want to submit that letter to the record? Okay.
So,
Just put your name on it this week.
very sorry for your loss, sir. Let's, someone else want to get up?
Yeah. Thank you.
Did we?
Yeah,
We
I have
read
that
it.
already.
We read it, but yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
Yeah, I printed out the whole thing.
Yeah, 45 pages, I think. You skipped the,
It's only 4 that I.
yeah, you
Yeah.
a
Wait,
little short.
It's like page 21, the whole thing, but it's a lot of.
That's what I had found, and that's what we're relying on to schedule our moratorium. No, that's
No,
wonderful.
thank you for,
That's
thank you for
wonderful.
bringing it. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so what let me, do you have a front page?
Yeah, here.
So what she provided was what I mentioned, what the supervisor mentioned at the beginning, this land use moratorium, James A. Kuhn, Local Government Technical Services, Division of Local Government Services. This is an article that we found through some research, as well as discussing it with a local resident. We read it, we addressed it with some other officials in some other towns. There are some land use attorneys, and that's why we're going to, next week, schedule a public hearing for the moratorium based upon what we think we found here. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Joyce Lambert, Mahopac, New York. It's kind of redundant now what my comments were to request a moratorium, so instead I will just let the audience and yourselves know what I've found through reading this document. So the packet I have handed out to each of the board members is a partial printout of the New York State Government Land Use Moratoria document. This document defines the concept of moratoria and its purpose to address new circumstances not addressed by current laws. Best facilities fall into this category. Our zoning codes, laws, requirements are antiquated. They were created way before the new technology of lithium-ion batteries. There is an ongoing race by corporate America to obtain permits to build these green energy facilities before new zoning ordinances affect their opportunity to build these facilities. It is up to you, the Carmel Town Board members, to put the brakes on this race to disaster. Protect Carmel's future by adopting a moratorium on BESS facilities. Land use moratorias are designed to halt development temporarily while planning and/or zoning codes are revised to meet safety requirements of new technology. The Carmel Town Master Plan is already in its last stages of being created. It will not allow a BESS of this magnitude.
That's right.
The Planning Board has already suggested they would grandfather this BESS. A moratorium would ensure any facilities built align with the vision laid out in our upcoming master plan. The plan nearing completion will establish clear guidelines for future development, including regulations on large-scale battery storage facilities. Congressman Lawler stated on April 24th, it is imperative that the Carmel Planning Board and New York State conduct a thorough environmental impact review and assess the potential impacts of this project. The laws of this great nation were created to protect the people, not to protect big business in order to make money, regardless of its effects on the residents. It is this board's responsibility to protect the people by approving a moratorium to allow a thorough environmental study to be completed. There is no threat of a lawsuit with a moratorium. It is the right of local government to take action to protect public health, safety, and welfare. Last week, April 18th, I sent a letter to the board requesting a moratorium, and I thank you for listening and reading it. And again, last week, there were other residents asking for a moratorium. So all I can say is thank you so much for your considering moving forward on a public hearing.
Yeah,
Do you want to tell them you set a date, you have to publish, it's not next week, it's
No.
not next week.
Yeah,
It's-
I'm sorry.
Explain it.
No, but I know the
yeah,
public
so we
hearing
were-
isn't next week, but
We had that, we were reviewing it, we were getting some opinions as well.
good.
Before you had sent that over to us. So next week, what we will do is we will vote to conduct a public hearing on the moratorium, which I
Right.
believe is going to be 20 or 30 days thereafter, because we have to give notice. Everybody can speak at the public hearing for that.
Right.
And I'm sure we'll take action.
Yeah, you have to
Thereafter.
publicize a public hearing in the newspaper.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so we can't just shortcut that.
I know, government works slowly,
Yeah, but we
but
will.
we're working on it, so that's
Yes.
the most important.
But thank you.
Your, go ahead.
No, I was going to
Input.
say the same thing. Thank you for your correspondence about that. Thank you for finding the same, doing the research as well. It's,
Okay, well, thank you again.
Thank you.
Will Somers residents be able to
Yes.
speak at that?
yes.
Yes, it's a public hearing, so
Yes,
it's any
yes.
interested party which would be interested
Yeah,
parties. Yeah.
I was actually gonna,
Oh, go ahead.
I was actually gonna mention that a little later on in my comments, that yes, because it is a public hearing and you're affected parties, that the residents from from Somers will be able to be heard, of course.
Hi.
Welcome.
Janet Cargan, Silvergate, Mahopac. Just in case you don't hear it enough, thank you for hearing us, our neighbors, and trying to be proactive to catch up to something that kind of smacked us all in the face. And I appreciate your attention to this and bringing this moratorium, and hopefully it works to put the brakes on something that I think is very hazardous to everybody here. So I just don't know how much thank you you're going to get. I know you guys got a little bloodied and bullied, and that might have been necessary too, but thank you very much for doing this, sincerely.
Thank you. Mrs. Lambert, $60 million Hochul is offering for green infrastructure, $60 million. So there's lots of reasons why these people want to do this, because they're going to make money. You know, greed. Greed is what runs all evil, right? That's right. Is anybody else?
And I know, Joyce, as the next speaker is coming up, in the master plan, the draft master plan, Tier 2, they are not permitted. So that's already in there. It has not been
she
changed. I
said
know
that,
that
yeah.
there's been, talk out there that we changed the master plan to allow them. That is so false. Okay, so I just want to make sure that that's, because I heard that as of yesterday. Okay?
That you just changed it when it's not true.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
always
we did not change it. It's always been in there.
600, nothing more than 600.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome.
Okay, so good evening. Lauren Roslin, 59 Center Road. It's good to see you again. Today, I'd like to discuss the presentation by East Point Energy and to the town of Carmel and the Somers residents on May 2nd of last week. So my comments tonight are more directed toward them. The Carmel Town Board, Planning Board, and Environmental Conservation Board all encouraged the residents to listen to the company's discussion. In fact, it was outlined and promoted at each meeting. So many of us listened to your advice because despite what you or others may think, we are informed, educated, and well-prepared residents with many valid concerns. I'm also quite sure they're listening. Let's start with the fact that East Point Energy hosted what they described as a WebEx, which translates to a bunch of salesmen sitting behind a screen trying to convince a town full of concerned citizens that a project that benefits their multi-billion-dollar corporation was right for us. They did not allow for our cameras to be on, and in addition, they handpicked questions that they wanted to answer through a moderator. They did not address the many questions and concerns posed to them that residents wanted them to answer. This not only defeated the purpose, in my opinion, it only further alienated us from them. If they wanted us to trust in their nonsense, then perhaps they should have looked us in the eye and answered the questions that we had. Hiding behind a moderated screen is cowardly at best, and is certainly not a company I and many others will ever trust. To continue, I'd like to address some of the nonsensical points they tried to spew at us, starting with the location of the project. Multiple times, the company referred to 24 Miller Road as an ideal location for this project. So let's truly discuss why this location is the absolute worst spot for a project like this. East Point Energy said this location is 94 acres, which is hard to come across in the lower Hudson Valley. They alluded to the zoning of this property and its connection to the NYSEG substation. Let's take each of those points and break it down. First, this location is 94 acres. 94 acres equals 4,094,600 square feet. Let that sink in. Over 4 million square feet. But yet, they want to place their containers 200 feet from my friend Stephanie and her 2-year-old twins. Why? I'll tell you why. Because a gross majority of the property is wetlands. Wetlands that cannot be disturbed or built on. This is because This is because this environmentally sensitive area feeds the tributaries and streams that lead to the reservoirs that provide New York City drinking water. So instead of realizing that environmentally this project makes absolutely no sense, they decided to put the residents in even more danger. In addition, East Point Energy repeatedly stated that on the northern end, their battery enclosures were 160 feet to the nearest resident, which is 4x the requirement, and on the southern end, 200 feet from the nearest residence, which is 5x the setback requirement that the Town of Carmel Zoning Board approves. According to Section 15610, accessory structures are permitted within 40 feet of a property line. I'm pretty sure no one would debate that code for a shed, a deck, an addition to a home, or even a new residential neighbor or business. When that code is being abused to put containers full of toxic and explosive lithium next to residents, it's time to take note. 5x is not a term that should ever quantify the distance of this type of project from residents. Unacceptable and irresponsible. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Speaking of zoning codes, isn't it convenient that East Point Energy neglected to mention that while the land is zoned as a commercial business park, which does allow for light manufacturing, the code also reads that light manufacturing, converting, processing, altering, assembly, finishing, printing, and other handling of the materials or products in self-storage warehouse shall be permitted, provided that such industrial uses or the occasional byproducts of such uses shall not create a hazard to the health and safety of the residents of Carmel and other adjoining properties, nor shall there be any negative impact of it on social or aesthetic environment. They shouldn't be allowed to pick and choose which parts of the code they adhere to. I and many other residents have outlined multiple reasons that this project violates every word of that code. To quickly summarize, these reasons include, but are not limited to, health, safety, environmental concerns, along with depreciated home values. Let's jump to another point that East Point Energy said multiple times. They couldn't be prouder of the tax revenue benefit that this project would bring to our town. They referred to this being hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. They neglected to mention that number, They neglected to mention to the masses that they've applied for a pilot program. For those who don't know, that stands for payment in lieu of taxes. I'm in possession of the record that outlines this tax revenue based on the mill rate of this property with the proposed pilot program. The town stands to make a whopping average of $250,000 a year. Isn't that nice? But let's put it in perspective. Little old me, pays $25,000 a year to this town. One resident on Center Road, whose neighbors pay close to the same. Is a project with this amount of danger really worth 10 times or 10x the amount from a multi-billion-dollar corporation? Think that through, because you can't use an X multiplier to prove one point and not use it for another. If East Point Energy truly thinks this community will think that dollar amount is worth it, they're dead wrong. My list goes on, but I'm sure I'm approaching my time limit. I'll save some other points for next week. In the meantime, I sure do hope that our town board, our planning board, and our environmental conservation board will suggest that East Point Energy start to listen to us in the same way that you promoted the company's agenda and presentation. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. Anybody else?
Colleen Coxon, Mahopac resident. Last week I had asked for a moratorium, practiced a new speech all week, but just wanted to say thank you for listening to us.
Is it less than 5 minutes?
Colin, we had that document like last week and the week before, and we were reviewing it and looking at it. So when you came up with that and talked about it, you know, it was already kind of, yeah, but okay.
How you guys doing?
You two split the time, so it's 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes. So my first line is, I'm going to make this a quick one, I promise.
You have to say your name. I'm sorry, I stepped on
Rosalind,
it.
59 Center Road. I wanted to address the board tonight about the word evacuation, a word we thought we would only use during a natural disaster. But here we are discussing this war with our friends, families, and neighbors due to the lack of common sense on all levels of our local government. Warwick, New York's evacuation zone is a half mile, which is 10x smaller than EPA's planned 116 megawatt facility. Let's just use 3/4 of a mile as an arbitrary evacuation radius, because why not? Everyone else is throwing out false numbers. Within that radius, there are 200 homes. Let's dive a little deeper. Now imagine those 200 families are waking up Thanksgiving morning, turning on the TV to watch the parade and prepare dinner, or going to bed on Christmas Eve, or lighting the menorah, or blowing out birthday candles, or any other special occasions that we celebrate in our homes. Now imagine those blaring horns, similar to the Warwicks warning us of a fire and pending evacuation. What do? Where do we go? Are these the memories we want our children to have? How would you feel if this was your family? These are the things that we need to consider. It's not the measly tax dollars this mega structure will generate. It's about the families and traditions that live here and will be forever changed by this insanity. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if there's no one else. So we've got the Carmel Spring Fair. That's going to be on Saturday, May 18th, up on the Main Street in Carmel, Gwinnett Avenue, between Fair Street and Vink Drive. It's from 12 to 4. That's fun for the entire family, food, vendors, entertainment, being put on by the Chamber of Commerce. And Matt Slater is having a Women of Distinction ceremony, the 94th Assembly District. That will be on Saturday, the 11th, this Saturday at 11 o'clock here at Town Hall, honoring women of distinction. And just all the moms, happy Mother's Day. Anybody else?
Yeah, this Saturday, there will be a cornhole tournament at the Mahopac VFW, $50 a team. All money raised will go to Relay for Life to benefit cancer. There'll be a band, some food. It'll be a great time. The weather's supposed to be beautiful, so if you're looking for something to do on Saturday, swing by. And then my Connect with Kearns, my monthly town hall, I had to move it. It will be Saturday, May 18th, from 10 to 12, right here at Town Hall. Swing by, ask some questions, and then swing by Councilman Lombardi's food drive after. And that's it from me.
Just a couple of things. I just wanted to report to the residents that the supervisor and I have been negotiating for the past couple of months a new contract with our lieutenants. We are happy to announce that we have an agreement with them, a 5-year contract, which we worked out, which is fair to them and is fair to the taxpayers as well. So we should be finalizing the paperwork on that shortly, but just wanted to let everybody know about that. So also, Little Black Dress, I'm on the committee for that. The Community Cares, which is an organization that takes care of women who are going through cancer, provides them with services and food and transportation and whatnot. They're having a fundraiser tomorrow night at the Putnam Golf Course from 6 to 10. It's very, very always well attended, so please, if you can make it out there, it'll be a lot of fun. As Councilman said, I'm hosting a food drive to benefit the St. John's Food Pantry, May 18th. We're going to be collecting at Red Mills from 9 until 12, and then transporting everything that we collect to the St. John's Food Pantry. And lest we forget, this past Sunday was Holocaust Remembrance. We too in the town of Carmel, we will never forget and never again.
So I just wanted to say, Lauren, I agree with you. Anything with this magnitude that wants to come to the town of Carmel should not have been disseminated the information that way. What they could have done, should have done, is ask one of the high schools to have the auditorium where everybody can go and speak. I think that would have been the right thing to do, so they could have heard everybody's voices like we do. and their concerns. That's what people should do. So thank you, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I have no events coming up, sorry.
So we're going to go to executive session. We have personnel. Can I get a motion to go to executive session?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good night. See you next week.